What the fuck is up, Juggalos? This is the Murder Mayhem Show. I'm the host, Mitchell, and today's topic is last-second gathering preparations. Yes, the gathering is coming up. Of course, this will be my 6th trip myself, so over my 5 previous gatherings, I've come to pick up a few things to make your gathering a little bit easier. Some of this stuff is no-brainer shit. Some of this stuff maybe will be too late to make your preparations, but let's get into it. Maybe you can't find at least a few things that you didn't think of before, particularly if this is your first time or if you're going by yourself, which I've also done, so I have some insight on that as well. Let's get into it. Things you should bring. Number 1 on my list is always sunscreen. Now, for some reason, this seems to be the thing that people blow off the most. At least it looks that way to me every year. To me, it's the most important thing. Like, I cannot stand the feeling of a sunburn. It hurts. It sucks. It sucks for days or weeks after the fact. So I don't know why so many people skip this, but by day 3 or 4, you always see people just walking around looking half dead, beet red, skin peeling right off. No good. You don't need to go through that. Sunscreen. I bring several bottles of lotion and spray. I even tell the people that I camp with, like, be prepared to see me cover myself in this shit for the entire gathering because I cannot deal with a sunburn. Next, don't forget to bring a tent. Obviously, you're not going to forget that if you can, but the piece of advice I have for you if you're going by yourself is, for one thing, if you're not a very outdoorsy person, as I am not, then you might not have ever had to shop for a tent before or anything like that. So my advice to you is, even if you're just going by yourself as one person, get at least a 4-person tent. They call it a 4-person tent. I call it a 1-person tent because you're going to want to have room in there to put your shit and to stretch out, especially if you're a 6-foot tall boy like myself. So I say, even if you're one person, get a 4-person tent. Not only that, if you're going by yourself, then I think you should invest in an easy setup tent because, you know, your classic tent with all the poles and shit, that can be hard to set up by yourself, but they have tents these days where you literally just unzip it out of the pouch and it pretty much sets itself up. Takes a matter of minutes. You're not going to want to have to screw with setting up all those damn poles and shit if you're just there by yourself. So that's what I did. Even if you are going with a group, just get one of those easy setup tents anyway. Make things easier on yourself, I say. A sleeping bag, of course, you're not going to want to forget. A pillow of some kind. A canopy. I've never brought a canopy before. I think I might actually do that this year because lately I've been camping with a set of people that seems to always bring, you know, more than enough canopies. And now that I've gone canopy, I can't go back. You're going to need a canopy to hang out under or put over your tent, which is what I may do if our crew already has enough canopies without mine. I'll be bringing one regardless, I think, and then if we don't need one for our crew, then I'll set it up over my tent and block out the sun that way, because the sun is a rough fucking bitch at the gathering. You can take that one more step and get a tarp, put that under your tent. That can help. A hat. I always bring a hat to protect myself from the sun. Socks. Plenty of pairs of socks. More than you think than you're going to need. People that have been to the gathering several times before probably already know this. This is something I didn't realize the first time I went to the gathering. Didn't have enough socks. My feet were fucking killing me quickly. Just within a few days, I ran out because you end up having to change your socks multiple times a day sometimes, you know, between sweaty feet, dewy grass, whatever, walking in, you know, whatever. You may feel the need to change your socks multiple times a day, and you don't want to run out if that happens. White t-shirts. I always bring just a fresh package of white t-shirts, crack into those. Helps me out during the daytime. At night, you feel free to sport your fresh hatchet gear and whatnot, but in the daytime, when that sun's really beating down on you, can't beat a white t-shirt if you ask me. Plenty of pairs of underwear. I put this in the same category as the socks. More than you think you're going to need. Cheap shoes. You can bring your nice shoes, but expect them to probably take a little bit of a beating with all that walking. So what I like to do is just buy a pair of cheap-ass Walmart shoes, whatever those cost, $14 or whatever, and then rip out the insoles and put in a pair of more comfortable insoles. That's the way I like to do it. That way you've got a disposable pair of shoes that are still fairly comfortable, because those Walmart default soles are not too comfortable when you're doing as much standing and walking as you'll be doing at the gathering. Shorts. I bring plenty of pairs of basketball shorts myself. That's got the most ventilation to keep you cool, if you ask me. Don't forget also to bring some pairs of long pants as well, though, because you never know. Sometimes the gathering is hot as fuck all 4 days, like the Oklahoma gathering. Sometimes it's feeling good in the day, and then it gets cold as fuck at night. So you're going to want a little bit of each. A healthy mix of short pants, and I usually just bring one pair of long pants myself because I usually don't need them, but it's good to have them in case you need them. A hoodie as well, same goes for that. You never know if you're going to need it. Better safe than sorry on that. Bug spray. This is something I don't usually think about or bring or even put on, but this year with this location, they say that it's so heavily wooded that you might have to watch out for ticks. You definitely don't want to fuck around when ticks and Lyme disease and shit are involved, so you're definitely going to want to think about bug spray this year, even if you never cared before. A chair. This sounds like common sense. This is a common sense one, but make sure you bring a chair. You don't want to be caught sitting on the ground every fucking where that you go. A fan. I bring the little handheld fans, the ones that just take the AA batteries or AAA, whatever the fuck. It comes in handy a lot. I have that shit on most of the time that I'm out waiting for seminars to start or whatever in the middle of the day when it's especially hot. And I don't usually see other people doing it, but I can tell that they wish they had thought of it, because it can really cool you down a couple of degrees when you need it the most. Phone charger, that's a no-brainer. Don't ever go anywhere without that. Here's one you might not think about, especially if you're in a group. Copies of the map and copies of the schedule. Just print it out from the website. A bunch of copies of the map and a bunch of copies of the timeline. The reason being that I usually keep my program on me at all times, and I'm always looking through it while I'm at the campsite and stuff, and people are constantly asking to look at it. They're always asking to look at my map or look at my timeline, especially if they want to see what's going down that day. And then by the time I get home, my program is all fucked, which is mostly my own fault because no one's looking at it more than me. But taking it out, putting it back in your backpack or whatever all the time is going to give it some wear and tear. And if you want to keep that program pristine, I say just bring a bunch of printed copies of the map and the schedule. Backup pair of glasses. If you're a glasses wearer like myself, just bring along an extra pair of cheapies if you can. You certainly don't want to be out that far from home and lose your eyeballs. You never know. Anything could happen at the gathering. You might catch a Fago to the face, break your glasses. Can't be without those, that's for sure. Jumper cables, that's important, especially. Full tank of gas on arrival. This is my personal tip because you're going to want to sit in that car with the air conditioner. If you wilt in the sun as easily as me anyway, you're going to want to spend a good deal of time in your car with that air conditioner blasting in your face, and you don't want to worry about having to ration out that gas. A lock for your tent. This is just a couple of bucks, and it's kind of a necessity. Now, we all know by now that people will show up to the gathering just to steal shit, sadly. People show up to the gathering, non-juggalos, just to sell drugs, just to ransack tents and shit. It's a sad reality, but protect yourself from that. Just bring a tent or a lock for your tent. If you have your valuables in there, you're going to want to keep those safe. So don't forget that. Trash bags. There's not as many trash cans around at the gathering as you might hope there are sometimes, or you just might not be camped next to one. It can be a real pain in the ass to walk all the way down to the trash can, or you can just throw your fucking garbage on the ground like an animal. Don't do that. Bring trash bags. Clean up after yourself like an adult. Surfaces, if you're in a group of people, you're going to want to check around and see that someone has at least one table or something, because it can be a real pain in the ass sitting around in a circle with nowhere to put your shit. Food, of course, you're going to need to eat while you're at the gathering. This is something that I picked up at my third gathering. For me personally, it's not even worth it to bring food that has to stay cold. Now, this is going to vary probably depending on your level of preparedness and what you're willing to do, but that's just one more thing that I don't want to have to fucking think about. Walking all the way to get some ice and bringing it back, or else my food's going to ruin. Not into it. So what I've been doing for my last few gatherings, pretty much just sticking with canned foods, dry goods. Chef Boyardee tastes like shit, but hey, it'll give you the nutrients you need. You can eat it cold right out of the can. Again, tastes like shit, but it's edible, so that's pretty much all I'm looking for. That goes for canned meat as well, canned chicken, whatever you want to bring there. I like to bring a pack of tortillas and a can of Cheese Whiz. That's something that'll keep you going, a snack that you don't need to worry about keeping cool. Dry cereal, of course, that's always good. Nuts, that'll help. Cans of V8, if you're worried about getting those fruits and vegetables in, and you don't want to just be straight eating meat and bread the whole time, so mix it up your diet a little bit. You can bring some V8. You don't need to keep that cool, but you can still get some nutrition in that way. Cans of beans, same deal. You can eat them cold out of the can. No big deal. Franks and beans if you want to get extra fancy with it. Don't forget your cooler. You still are going to want a cooler, even if you're not bringing any food that needs to stay cold, because you're going to want to keep that water cold. Don't forget to bring lots and lots of water. The biggest packs of water you can find, I say, like a big 48 pack or whatever from Walmart. Better to have way too much water than to run out. And they have water bottle fill-ups there at the gathering too, but you're going to want to keep as much as you can at your home base. Gatorade, I personally enjoy if you want some extra flavor to your beverage selection, as well as some of those rejuvenating electrolytes and whatnot. It's got what plants craves. Hygiene, of course, you're going to want to stay clean while you're there, so I bring a lot of napkins and hand wipes and shit just to try to keep my hands clean as much as I can. The hand wipes I never thought to bring myself, but every time I go, I'm always bumming hand wipes off other people, so don't be like me and be a mooch. Be like me this year and bring your own packs of hand wipes. They do a good job of disinfecting your hands from all the fucking dirty gathering filth out there. Toothbrush, toothpaste, of course, deodorant. That's something you don't want to forget. Juggalos have kind of a bad stigma for being stinky and smelly. And believe me, by the time you get to that third day of the gathering, it does smell like BO. The entire gathering smells like BO. So don't be that guy. Mouthwash, little travel-sized bottle of mouthwash. That can help if you're in a pinch and you don't have time or feel like brushing your teeth when you would like. Mouthwash can get you out of a jam in emergency. Shower shoes for the shower. You don't want to be walking in there barefoot. Towels, of course, dry off. Soap. I tend to bring like a little bottle of hand soap as well. It's not really convenient, but I keep that in the car. A couple of spurts of that. Dump a bottle of water in there to get a lather going. Wipe off with a napkin. Works for me. But you're pretty much just going to be sticking with those hand wipes, I think. Baby powder can help with the nether regions. I'm going to try these bath wipes. I've never tried these before. I've never had them. They appear to be basically towel-sized hand wipes for your whole body, so I'm going to try those out. I can't necessarily recommend them, as I've never tried them, but they definitely look worth a try to me. I'll at least try those out. Got a few more tips here, things you should know. If you can, don't plan to do all your driving on the day of arrival. What I mean is, if you have a 14-hour drive, don't do your 14 hours all on Wednesday and then expect to be able to experience the gathering that day, because you will be tired as fuck and you will be falling asleep before the late night stage even kicks in. So I say, if you're 14 hours away, maybe get 10 hours in one day and then make your Wednesday, if you're planning on showing up on day one on Wednesday, a short drive so that you get your 4 hours on the road and then you get to the gathering early enough to set your shit up, and you'll still have the energy to experience that whole first day. That's my take anyway. Helps me out. Here's a piece of advice. Keep your keys in your hand every time you close the door of your trunk of your car. The reason I say that is to avoid locking your fucking keys in your car, which I've never done at the gathering, but I have done it at a concert before, and it sucked ass. It was a real pain in the ass to have to call the locksmith to fucking come up to the venue and fix that shit before the show started, especially at a place like the gathering where you're probably going to be storing a lot of your necessities in your car. Even if you're positive your keys are in your pocket, keep them in your keep them in your hand every time you close and lock your door. Make sure to keep that shit safe. Get to the events early, I say. Seminars and whatnot. If there's a seminar you want to watch, especially something crowded like that, then show up early. The earlier the better, really. If you can show up half an hour or even an hour early, if it's going to be a packed seminar, like some of those are going to be, then pretty much just the earlier the better. Show up to the events early if you want to get a good seat. Otherwise, you might be sitting outside of the tent by the time the event starts. But if you do that during the ICP seminar, there's something you should know about that rarely ever gets talked about. It's really kind of the most disgusting. It's part of Juggalo culture as far as grossness goes. But before the ICP seminar starts, everyone in the tent is just hurling garbage at each other. Like literal pieces of garbage. Pulling it out of the trash can, whatever. It's usually on the last day of the gathering, so by then, people are just emptying out their supplies, basically. Just throwing stuff the entire time before the ICP seminar starts. This goes on for like an hour, probably. I mean, people show up to that seminar early, and basically, as soon as the event before it ends, people just start throwing garbage at each other. So be aware of that if you're going to the ICP seminar. If you don't want to deal with that, sit outside the tent. Don't sit inside the tent and then complain when you get hit with a piece of garbage, because it's just a known thing that happens there. Another piece of advice I have for you, if there's a particular piece of merch that you have your eye on, get to the merch booth early. Shirts and stuff especially. A lot of the good ones sell out pretty quick. In CDs and DVDs as well. Like, if there's something that you have your eye on or you're wanting, that gathering shirt or whatever, hit the merch booth on day one. Don't wait 2 or 3 days down the road, because all the good stuff might be out by then. So that's kind of my last second gathering advice. Most of that stuff is pretty no-brainer shit, I think. There's probably nothing in there that you didn't think to bring yourself, but hey, might as well let you know what I do and see if you can't pick up some kind of information from that. In other news, Twisted and Blaze have been on the road doing Generation Nightmare Tour Leg 2, and it's been causing a bit of a stupid stir, but here we are again. We go through this every time this happens, but once again, Twisted and Blaze are performing Lotus tracks on their tour. Some people are pissed about it. Some people don't give a fuck. I personally don't give a fuck about them doing the songs. It's the same argument that I used when they did this at Attack of the Ninjas, which I wasn't even at Attack of the Ninjas. Half the people complaining weren't even at Attack of the Ninjas, but everyone was weighing in with their opinions anyway. I say, who gives a shit, because They wrote those verses. Those are their songs as well. They're a part of Dark Lotus, a big part of Dark Lotus. So if Twisted and Blaze want to do those songs, more power to them, I say. The thing that I find a little sketchy this time around, it's different from before, is now they're selling Lotus shirts, new Lotus shirts featuring Madrox, Monoxide, and Blaze on them. And I thought that was pushing it a little bit. Like, doing the shows, no big deal. Selling the shirts, not really a big deal either, but just pushing it. And I said this on Twitter, and I got some feedback about, like, well, it's their right to sell those shirts because they're part of Lotus too. I know it's their right. I never said that they had no right to do it. My whole thing is that it's a bad look for them. It looks stupid. Honest opinion. It looks stupid for them to be leaning so hard on the past like that. Like, the occasional throwback is one thing, but they're going back to this well way too much. And making new merch, it makes it look like they can't come up with good ideas on their own. Doing those songs and stuff, it's like, I get it, because those songs have already been created. They're already out there. They're already part of the Juggalo zeitgeist. But creating new merchandise and making money off of Lotus seems a little tacky. Also, they just call it Lotus. I'm assuming this is some kind of trademark reason. They don't say Dark Lotus, they say Lotus. So I don't know what their plans are with that. If they're thinking of doing like a Lotus album with Twisted and Blaze, I would advise them not to even think about that. I don't know if they are thinking about it or not, but they seem to really be taking this Lotus brand and running with it. I mean, if they're doing shirts and stuff, then who knows what they have in mind. So you're still good, Twisted and Blaze. It's still all good, but tread lightly if you're planning on pushing this any further, I would say. That's my point of view. It's not like the end of the fucking world. I don't truly give a shit that they're selling those shirts. Like, it's not enough to make me say fuck them, but it's just a corny look. Kind of makes you look like you can't come up with creative ideas. And it's not just me saying that. There's other people that feel that way as well. So that was my take on that. I wanted to take some time to explain that. But I will say that the last time I did a Twisted VIP meet and greet, which was not that long ago, that was during leg 1 of the Generation Nightmare tour, just a few months ago, however many months ago that was. And I did the VIP meet and greet, and I told them to their faces, politely, very respectfully, like, just so you guys know, I support you, but I do this podcast where if something comes up that I disagree with, I will talk about it. And sometimes that means talking about things you guys have done that I disagree with. That was pretty much how I put it at the meet and greet. And they were cool with it. They were very respectful of it. All you have to do is be an adult. There's no sense in getting on there and talking all kinds of hella shit or anything. Like, they understand criticism. They're not monsters. They understand if you don't like something, you can call it out without being a dick. And that's all I think I'm doing with these Lotus shirts. This is exactly the kind of thing that I was talking about when I told them that. Like, sometimes you guys do shit that I don't agree with. And when that happens, I have to talk about it. And this is one of those things. So, my input: stop with the Lotus shirts. Don't keep pushing this angle, this Dark Lotus is back thing. All you're doing is stirring the pot. And honestly, I think that's why they're doing it. That's kind of a controversial opinion, but I think the reason they're doing this kind of shit is just to piss people off. I think that's why they're doing it. I think part of it is for, like, doing the songs and stuff. I can buy that as fan service, like giving the fans what they want. But when it comes to selling shirts and shit and really pushing this Lotus angle, this feels like they know what they're doing, because they have to know that that's going to annoy people. They're fans too, not just haters. They're fans. So quit now while you're still ahead. Like, don't push it by making new albums or anything. I don't know if maybe they have some plans for writers shit either, but it makes you think, like, if they're pushing this Lotus thing this hard, then who knows, maybe new writer stuff is coming up next. I would say just nip this in the bud. Stop what you're doing while you're still in the good graces. No need to push this and see how far you can take it, because all it does is sort of stand to annoy people, if you ask me. So that was my take on that. And on that note, I think that pretty much wraps up this edition of the Murder Mayhem Show. Subscribe to all the social medias, facebook.com/Mayhem Show. Twitter is @MurderMayhemGuy. Instagram is @Murder Mayhem Show. YouTube is youtube.com/Murder Mayhem Show. Get all the links to everything on murdermayhemshow.com. Keep it simple. I know all my URLs are all fucked, so just go to murdermayhemshow.com. Make it easy on yourself there. Got a lot of plans post-gathering coming up that I'm working on in the pipeline, so definitely stick around. May even record an episode from the gathering. We don't know. Who knows? That is not a guarantee, but who knows? So I'll see you at the gathering. If you see me around, say what's up. I'm hard to miss. So until next time,